Hello and welcome to Naija Infusions by your girl Awesome Dishes. So today I'm preparing puff puff for people who love to eyeball recipe and do not own a scale or measuring spoon. So please pay attention because it is very, very important you pay attention. Very, very important. So in a bowl, I added a bit of warm water, not hot boiling water, just warm water. I know it looks hot, but it's not. Then I added 2 teaspoons of yeast. For your reference, that is a packet of yeast. And I added some sugar, a little bit of sugar. Don't worry about the spoon measurement, but you can add a bit of sugar and give it a good stir. Place the yeast mixture in a microwave or in a warm place, and it is activated. What I did next was added more extra warm water, not hot water. Oh, so I added it. Then I started adding in the flour. This is where it gets really, 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 really crucial, that you need to pay attention to the senses that work with your hand, which is your brain. It is very important at this stage. So what I started doing was adding flour. Added a bit of flour and I mixed it up. I used self-raising flour. When you use self-raising flour, you can fry immediately and you do not need yeast. But because of the bounciness, I love my puff puff to be very bouncy. I add a bit of yeast. And for this recipe, I fried it immediately. Normally, I will leave my recipe to the mixture to last a bit, like 30 minutes or 1 hour, but this time around, or even longer. But this time around, I was not in the mood to leave it for long, so I just went in straight away and I started mixing. And mixing, as you can see, is very liquidy. So I got my daughter Demilade to start adding a bit of flour for me as time went on, and I kept adding the flour. At this point, I would have said I've used roughly about 400 mils of water, and the flour was getting close to about maybe 500, 550. This is just an estimation, so I'm not asking you to follow the recipe. I'm just asking you to pay attention to how you can mix puff puff without having actually using a scale. So it wasn't done yet at this point. Then I got Demilade to come back and add in more flour. As you can see, it's still very, very soggy. You don't want soggy, because if it's this consistency, you put it in your hot oil, it will just soak up the oil, and we do not want it to soak up the oil. The ratio between the flour and the sugar and the flour and the water, they can't be equal, so we need them to be unequal. Look at it, it's still very running. So she added a bit more flour and I kept working the dough. I just kept at it, working the dough. You know, this is you not owning a scale. This is what happens when you don't own a scale. You do meat pie, you don't have a scale, you come out, your meat pie is going to look like very bulky. I got her to add in some vanilla extra. Don't forget your sugar. I added sugar to this mixture. I added extra sugar for some reason. I don't know where the video went, but I added extra sugar. I added some more sugar to the mixture. I'm sure I've mentioned it, but if I haven't, but hey, I added sugar. It wasn't done at this stage. You can see the way it just flopped up my hand. That shows that it's still not the right consistency that we needed. Look at it, just went pure, like a bag of water. So I got her to add more flour to it, and then she added more flour, and I kept on working the dough, you know, sort of mixing it all together very, very well. So just keep on working it. Your hand is your best teacher at this point in time. Your hands are your best teacher at this point in time. Your hands and your brain need to really engage. And I took some out and I gave it another squeeze to see. If you notice that it's sort of, the texture at this point was a bit different, and the way it dropped was more different than the way the earlier one dropped very fast, but this one took its time to drop. So that is what you want. You can replay that place again several times. So I had to do it several times for you guys to see. So when it was time for me to fry, which I did immediately, you can leave it, which I normally do, but this time around I didn't. I just started dropping them into the oil. You see the way it falls, it takes its time to fall. And as it went into the oil, I got Demilade as well to help me in turning them very quickly, because I don't want them to burn. So she kept turning them for me. You don't need extremely big pan of oil, but you don't want to shallow fry puff puff. Look at how beautiful and how golden delicious they look. This is so perfect. And the inside, was even more better. If you want to leave it for longer, you will even get more bounciness from the puff puff mix. I'm so thankful for you guys for keeping me engaged during this quarantine period, isolation period. Thank you so much. Remember to subscribe to my channel, Naija Infusion. Love you and God bless.